Welcome to the Exploring New England podcast with Ryan Zipp, where each week I will be talking about what makes this historic region such an amazing place to enjoy. From the scenic views to road trip ideas to where to grab the best eats and much more. Let's get going. Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the Exploring New England podcast with me, Ryan Zipp. Thank you all for tuning in again on another Thursday. Last week, I took you guys along with me on a recap of my journey up north to northeastern Vermont to experience and capture the total solar eclipse. So if you happen to miss that episode somehow and get to this one first, make sure you go back to check that out on any of the audio platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or Amazon Music, or here where you're seeing me visually on YouTube on the channel. So we did that, which was really cool. If you don't follow me on Instagram already, it's at Ryan Zipp. You can go there and see some photos I got of the eclipse during that. And then we also talked about the cherry blossoms in Worcester Square area of New Haven, Connecticut, close by to where I grew up. So it was a fun episode, got a lot of positive feedback from it. So hope that some of you guys maybe got to get down there to check out the cherry blossoms before time kind of passes. They don't last too long. So I got there Thursday was raining, so I got there Friday and Saturday of last week. And they were, haven't seen the blooms look that nice in years. So that was a nice change after last year's blooms all around. So, and glad to see for the festival Sunday, they were looking good this year. So hope you guys got out, maybe checked it out for the first time because you heard about it on here, which I could only hope that people start to do because of things they see or hear me talk about on the podcast. So I think I talked about in like the first podcast kind of what I was going to be talking about during the series and a little bit about what brings me all around New England with my camera. And one of the things, especially springtime and parts of summer, are the different blooms that happen throughout New England. And that's kind of what I feel like officially kicks off the spring season. And we did that with daffodils, which I think podcast number 3 was about. Yeah. So I talked about all the spots that are really good for that. So they're still going strong in some places, not fully in. Some of them are kind of fading, the early ones. So that's always the bloom that kicks it off. Then the cherry blossoms are another one. We talked about the notable historic one there in Worcester Square. So I was trying to think what's next and what kind of things I'm going to be looking for to check out in the coming weeks. And we're going to do tulips today. So not just tulips, we'll talk a little bit about the area for a few things, but that's going to be the kind of main target and focus of this week's episode. It's another popular spring bloom here in New England. So I'll hit on a few locations for them to you that you can go enjoy on like a day trip overnight. Places that you can actually pick them yourself, and then throw in a few that I have yet to make it there during this time of year. So, like usual, keep the electronic pen and paper ready, so phone or whatever, if you want to jot anything down. And then obviously you could always go back and listen or check out the YouTube version of this, the visual, where I'll have photos up here, I think usually over here somewhere, of some things I might be talking about to give you a visual of it as well. So here we go, episode 5. And just want to say it's kind of crazy. We're already over a month into this. It was a number of years of me just kind of thinking about doing it and then finally saying, just go for it. So I'm excited. I can't believe a month's already gone by. And I can't thank you all enough for tuning in, following along, and just excited to see where this keeps going. So let's get going here. The first spot and spot and kind of town area in New England I'm going to talk about. I mentioned quickly in the daffodil episode, because not only do they have a beautiful tulip display, but they also have amazing daffodils there as well. And this spot is called Naumkeag. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. Sometimes I'm not quite sure of these. It's a strange one, but Naumkeag. It's in the town of Stockbridge, in the Berkshires in Western Massachusetts. So I made it there last year for the first time, last April, and it's the property itself is now part of the trustees in Massachusetts. I know they have a number of properties. I forget exactly which other ones, but property itself, it's one of these that was a beautiful historic home built in the 1800s, like we find in a lot of New England, that was private and then eventually became what it is today. So this property here up in the Berkshires is was built in the late 1800s, 1884. A prominent New York attorney and U.S. ambassador named Joseph Choate is the one that built this house. I believe he was ambassador to the U.K. I think that's what it was. Not positive. But yeah, he had these well-known architects build this amazing 44-room summer cottage, which is always funny. I guess kind of like the mansions in Newport, they're cottages where these things, 44 rooms. It's like, for me, a summer cottage, I'd be fine with like a one-room shack by the water somewhere. To me, that's like a cottage, something small. But back in the day, I guess it had a little bit different definition for some of these wealthy people. So huge, gigantic, historic home there. And, besides that, you have the property. So the property itself there, I believe, is 48 acres total for the property. And 8 of those acres are gardens. And gardens there are pretty wild. They're all different themed. And obviously they include a whole bunch of daffodils and tulips. And I believe the number I saw was between daffodils, tulips, and some other flowers, over 130,000 blooms going on in spring there, which is pretty impressive. So property itself, you pull up, there's a good amount of on-site parking. I believe there's an overflow lot as well. When I went, I think it was couldn't have been a Monday. Probably a Sunday. So, but it wasn't too busy. So I guess like anything, have to just kind of try to go during a not so busy time. But so with this one, you have to buy tickets ahead of time online. So make sure if you ever decide to go, you do that. Can't buy them there in person, so you don't want to show up and not be able to get in, or have them say you can't even buy them now on your phone because they're sold out for that particular time slot. Believe it's like $25 for adults if you're not a member of the trustees. I don't know what a membership costs. I think it's like $15 if you are a member. So $25, and then anyone you bring with you under 12 is free admission, for what I remember. So on-site parking. You pull up, and I think it was like a scan-in on the phone type thing, very easy to check in, and then you're just free to roam the grounds, the gardens, and the house itself. I believe you could walk around the first floor of it. They don't have the entire home open during this, but just the first floor. So, but as you're there on the grounds, you enter in. You have the mountains in the background, just this kind of sprawling landscape there, and then obviously the gardens, which are filled at this time of year. I went there April 24th is the date I was there. So as you'll see some pictures here on the video version, you'll get to see, I felt like it was a good time. You caught the daffodils and had the tulips going. I don't know. I think it's staggered slightly from what I was talking to someone there. And the festival and open to the public for this whole thing starts the 19th, which I believe will be tomorrow. This will be on Thursday, and I think it starts on Friday. And then it goes from then until May 12th, and it's after this Friday, I think it's every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So moving forward, you'll be looking at Thursday through Sunday. So if it's definitely a great attraction up there to kind of go check out. If you've never seen it before, you'll see the pictures here, and then just kind of listen to me talk about it. It's definitely worth the trip, and the area it's in itself, I'll talk a little bit more about, is great to just head up anyway. So I find this a great destination, especially during this like 3 weeks or so when it's going on. So you walk in and you can kind of do it however you want from what I remember. Just the gardens are there, so you can kind of go anyway. It's not like you have to go a specific direction with it, but just a number of displays and the way they do them with the tulips and rose and all different colors together, and they're kind of the daffodils here, tulips here, and there's one area is really cool. There's all these birch trees and these stairs. It's just really unique. Like, it's just not something you see every day. These type of gardens, and that they have it on this scale. It's definitely cool. Even if you're not into, not big into gardens or anything, it's definitely a nice way to spend a little bit of time during spring. So I recommend it. Even if, like I said, you're not hardcore garden person, it's definitely a nice walk around. So there's all these. There was it's one like kind of, I don't want to say if it's like Japanese garden. They have a few spots that are like that, those type of themes, motif. And yeah, it's just all sorts of rows, like a walkway, path down. So definitely, if you haven't checked, and if you've just been listening, definitely check out the YouTube version, because it'll be a lot more visually appealing, and you'll get to kind of see what I'm talking about here. So I think I want to say I spent close to 2 hours there. So I think you could probably do it in an hour or less. And then, I don't think there's any certain time limit that you're required to stay there for or not stay there for. This spot is a good target for now, for basically your end of April, early May. And like I was saying before, it's in the town of Stockbridge, which is smack dab in the middle of the Berkshires. So a beautiful area of Massachusetts and the town itself. So it's definitely, I look at this as like a great anchor kind of activity and like a target to go do. So depending on how far away you live from it, it's an awesome day trip, which is what I did. So you can head up and schedule this whenever it fits in during the day. And then the town of Stockbridge itself is beautiful. That main street there, the downtown, is one of the depictions of Norman Rockwell, a spot that was big to him. So there's actually his museum there, and there's like there's grounds you can go visit where like his like studio building was there. I popped in. I didn't go inside anywhere. I didn't have time, unfortunately, that day, but I did check out the property. So you do have that's another thing that you could kind of stop at when you head that way. And actually his grave is in a graveyard there that's like right at the end of the property of the Naumkeag. So as I was leaving, I actually parked and I went over and I found his grave there. So just to kind of check it out, it was cool. So there's definitely a presence of his in Stockbridge. So if you're into his work or a fan, there's some cool stuff up there you could check out as well. And then he has a famous piece of that downtown area, kind of looking down on the stores and the main street there. And there's a general store there. There's a famous Red Lion Inn that's been there forever. So that's a spot. Obviously, if you want to turn this day trip into like an overnight, which is great, that's a place to stay. A lot of other great lodging options in the Berkshires. I've never actually stayed there because being from Connecticut, it's not too far. So anytime I've been up that way, it's during day trips or kind of popping in there on the way back from Vermont or somewhere else a little more north. So Red Lion Inn's around that road. The general store. There's just a number of other kind of cool little buildings, and this time there's other trees blossoming. So it's a nice walk, just walking up and down that street. There's a few little shops, and there was another restaurant, because the last time I was there, it was like an awkward time trying to eat. So Red Lion Inn was in between meals. I found this other spot down one of the little alleyway, I want to say, but nice little walkway area. That was called Once Upon a Table. So it was a cute little restaurant. I tried like one of the burger special they had going that day. Had some dessert as well, but really nice staff there and great meal. So if you're into those kind of vibes, I definitely recommend stopping in there. And there's a couple others. There's like I want to say like a dessert shop. I forget what it was exactly, but I was gonna stop in there and get a little treat at one point, but they were closing the one time I tried, so I didn't get to try it myself. But yeah, so that's Stockbridge, and there's some other stuff there. There's Berkshire Botanical Garden is another destination that way, especially. You can kind of look that up, see what their hours are and dates and everything. I kind of just swung by and checked out where it was. I didn't have time. I don't think it was open yet when I went there. So again, but that's another spot that's right there in the area, the Botanical Garden. Another spot there too is called the Stockbridge Bowl. So it's like a pond lake. I forget what it's classified as, but you could see it from down at lake level. Really cool. And there's like this overlook you can drive up to, and you're looking down on it. I think there's like a hiking path over there as well. I didn't have time to check that out. And then the other thing that Stockbridge, that area is known for well is Tanglewood, the concert venue, the outdoor concert venue there. And I thought I'd wear if you could see here, my James Taylor shirt. I actually saw James Taylor at Tanglewood a number of years ago. I want to say 2017-ish. That's not when I got this shirt. This is when I saw him last year in Connecticut. But I did see him there as well. It was it sounded great. It's hard there, Tanglewood. It's so huge, and the lawn area is like massive. So where you are, a lot of times you hear it, but it's hard to really see anything going on. But I was just reading that this is the 50th anniversary of his first show ever there. So he played his first show ever there in 1974. And I know he usually likes to play around 4th of July. So I saw this year he's actually playing July 3rd and July 4th. And then they're going to have fireworks after the concert on the 4th. I believe he does it usually for like a charity as well at this point. So it's really cool to see that he's still playing and kind of giving back. And, as of last year, he was still an amazing performer. So definitely another thing to work in. If you're looking for something to do, kind of check out what musical events are going on there at Tanglewood. So highly recommend the whole area. And actually always looking to explore more of the Berkshires. So I haven't done too much there, surprisingly. Like I said, I've stopped a bunch on the way to and from other spots in a little more Northwest Mass and Vermont. So, but it's kind of cool knowing that there's still spots in New England after all these years that I haven't really scratched too much of the surface on yet. So it's a little bit of a rundown there on Stockbridge and Naumkeag, which has again their Daffodil and Tulip Festival starting tomorrow, April 19th, going until May 12th. Buy tickets online. That's going to be Thursday through Sunday every week going forward. Highly recommend it. I really enjoyed it. Enjoyed my time there. And then Stockbridge in general, great little town to check out. Perfect day trip overnight. So yeah, that's my first kind of feature of the day here, focusing again on the tulips and more spring blooms. And then the second tulip theme spot that I wanted to talk about today is not just one spot, but it's 3 separate locations. It's all one company called Wicked Tulips, and they have 3 different fields, 2 of them in Rhode Island, 1 in Connecticut. And these aren't only places where you can go enjoy the tulips, you can actually pick a number of them yourselves to bring home. So a bit of a different experience from the first spot, Naumkeag, I talked about, where you are not allowed to pick any of the flowers. You just have to view them with your eyes. There's one thing. One thing I forgot to talk about with the first spot is what I did as well. But after you finish walking around when you're leaving, you could actually order some bulbs of a good amount of the different either tulips or daffodils you saw. And you can order them, you pay for them, and then they send them to you in the fall. So you plant them in your own garden. So it's kind of cool. So if you saw anything that caught your eye, and they have some really unique types there that you just don't see everywhere. So you can't pick any there, but you can order bulbs again to then grow them in your own yard. So I thought I'd throw that in for you gardening fans out there. That's another little added bonus to that visit. But back to Wicked Tulips again. They have one field going on now, and that's their earlier one in Exeter, Rhode Island. I think that one is. They had that it might only go to the 19th, which is tomorrow, but you'll have to check. I guess it's always weather dependent and seeing how they are. But that's the earlier one. And then they do have two other fields. The Rhode Island one is Johnston, Rhode Island, and then Preston, Connecticut. And I believe the plan for both of those, when I last checked, was to open at April 22nd. So, obviously go to the website and check out, because depending on how warm or cold it is, I know it can affect it. And, it doesn't last too long once they kind of get going. So, but I think they start selling like 2 to 3 days before it opens. And then time slots, you pick the time slot you want. Again, once you go, I don't think you have to like be out by any certain time. They just like to stagger when people are arriving. And this is another type of thing where you do have to purchase tickets online ahead of time. Again, because it's for certain time slots. So make sure you do that. You don't just show up. I think adult tickets on a weekday are $20 each, and a weekend is $23 each. And with that, you also get to pick 10 tulips. So you get to take 10 home with you that you pick yourself. And then you could pick more. They're just $1 extra per however many else you pick. Kids are $5 entry. I don't think they get any flowers. They pick any with that, but obviously they could pick however many you want. You pay for those. And under the age of 5 is free. So fun family event, kind of take kids and whoever. So go by yourself, go with a couple, go as a family, as a group. It's a cool activity. And it's a cool story there. They plant it's like 1.5 million bulbs a year at the 3 different fields. So very impressive. So it's definitely a fun destination. And the first field is kind of ending now. Again, kind of check the website to see if there are any time left from when this rolls on Thursday. But there are 2 other fields, the one in Rhode Island, one in Connecticut, that still will be going on. So definitely didn't miss out completely. So some of you may have done this already or seen your friends have done it and already been thinking about going. So this is just an extra push to go check it out. And it's cool, again, because you get to pick out the ones you want, and they kind of explain to you and show you. You see how the best techniques to kind of pop them out. So it's fun. I definitely recommend it. So, and then obviously there are a number of different spots around New England kind of have tulips coming around at any given time. But one spot that it's looking like I'll be heading to this weekend for a little bit, because it's long overdue, is one of my favorite cities in New England. That's Boston. Haven't been since October, so definitely overdue. And right now, the blooms are looking very amazing there. I've been, getting constant updates from my buddy Jack, who I shot the eclipse with. He's based out of Boston, and from what he's been seeing and photographing and sharing me, it's blooms are really, really good this year. A lot better than last year, and I'm not sure when the last time they were this good, but he's telling me to make sure I get up there soon. And just there's always different things going on, but I just love walking around the streets there and taking it all in. In springtime there is beautiful, because there's just cherry blossoms and magnolias and just all sorts of stuff, and obviously tulips. And there's a number of spots, so definitely you should follow him, Jack Darrell Photography. I'll kind of put it up here. But he's been there, sharing all these amazing things in Boston for a while now. So he's the man. I think he actually just put up his tulip spots tonight when I'm filming. So if you go back, you'll find the reel on it. I know he mentioned a few. I'll kind of, mention a few on here as well that I got from him. But the public garden there is obviously always a great walk through any time of year. But right now, they're going to have a lot of tulips blooming. Unfortunately, the area, I think, around the George statue is still under renovations. So I don't think they'll have them right there. But there's a number of different displays there around the public garden, so you can never go wrong there. Another one he said in Hayes Park in the South End, in that area, he recommended. Christopher Columbus Park was another he had on his list. And then the Back Bay area, his favorite street was Marlborough Street. So those were a few. And again, if you check out his page for all things Boston, but especially the blooms coming up. He's got all the info and like up to date, up to the minute, day kind of bloom report he's been doing. So Copley Square is another that usually has them, but that's still under construction too, I believe, from what he said. So yeah, Boston, next couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks there'll be, different blooms staggering, but definitely a good time to get up there and just walk around, and weather's looking good for this weekend. So I hope it's going to be good, and I'm excited to get back up there. So we'll see. And there's a few other spots. There's actually one in Connecticut, Elizabeth Park in Hartford. And they have, I think it's like end of this month into early May, they have a tulip display there, a garden. And I've actually never been there for it, which is no excuse since it's like only like a 45 minute drive for me. So I'll have to try to get up there this year. So I'm sure some of you Connecticut people have kind of been there before. Another one is Tower Hill Botanic Garden in Boylston, Mass. I think during the month of May is when they have their tulips blooming. So definitely, all these spots I'm talking about have websites, obviously. So definitely go to them, check out any details. And a lot of them usually give you current bloom reports, or they'll tell you when they typically bloom. And those are kind of, other spots. I'm trying to think of where else, if there's anywhere, in my travels. Oh, yeah. I don't know why. I totally forgot about it till now in prepping. But one of my kind of favorite main coastal spots in Agunquit, in Perkins Cove there, which I'm sure many of you who've been up that way are familiar with, like the classic little drawbridge and everything. But I was there one year in May, and the timing worked out. And there was a beautiful little display right there of the tulips right by the cove, right by the water. So I had fun getting shots there of those guys and the other blooms with the boats in the background. So not that, coastal Maine for me is a perfect, amazing spot any month of the year, no matter what. So if you happen to find yourself up there during the time coming up, springtime, May, and you go through, make a stop in Perkins Cove. It's an awesome sunset spot as well in that area. So, and there should be some tulips blooming there as well. So obviously there's too many kind of spots to name overall. Just thought I'd highlight a few of places that I've enjoyed the last few years checking out, and that maybe you guys will throw on your radar and go check them out yourself. So yeah, I think that's what I wanted to cover in this week. And just kind of we'll keep going through the different blooms that everyone enjoys, and including myself, and we'll kind of see where things bring us next. But my plan is to get up to Boston ASAP to enjoy those blooms, and I hope you guys are having a good start to spring and starting to see. It's nice. I was driving today and saw all the trees, really starting to bud out, and the reds and light greens. So it's like it's finally here. Like full on spring is upon us. We've had some nice weather days, which I think we deserve after all the rain and kind of a bit of a drawn out weird winter. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to more spring exploration myself, and we'll see where I decide to take us next week on next Thursday's episode. But I think that's it for now. So I'm going to wrap it up. And again, I thank you guys for joining me, whether you tuned in to one of the audio versions or you're looking at my ginger bearded mug right here on YouTube. And I appreciate all the follows for the account on Instagram, the Exploring New England podcast account there that I'm trying to grow. The YouTube one, like I've said before, it helps if you do subscribe, give it a thumbs up, give it a comment. These are all things that kind of help as I'm getting this going. And I believe on all the audio, Spotify, Apple, you can give a rating. So if you can throw me some high ratings and anything positive, and again, like I've said, share it with any friends, family who you think will kind of dig what we have going on here. I totally appreciate it. So again, thank you to everybody. Thanks for listening in, and that's it for episode 5. I'll see you guys next week.